It's a joy to welcome everyone to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Harford County, situated on the native lands of the Susquehannock people. I'm Reverend Jay Brooks. My pronouns are she and her. Leading the service with me today is Worship Associate Beth Wood-Roig and our fabulous house band. We gather every Sunday morning, on site and online, to share in life's meaning, grow in care and community, and open our hearts and minds to the sacred truth known by many names.
We gather in community to restore the balance of our spirits, to celebrate the joys of life and find the strength to meet our sorrows, and in the earliest meaning of the word worship, to consider ideas that are worthy of our time and attention.
Unitarian Universalism is a religious tradition that values diversity and embraces the wisdom of all faiths. We use science, reason, and the gifts of the Spirit to explore life's mystery and meaning. In this tradition, we know that people need not think alike to love alike. Whatever your heritage, however your history, and whomever you love, you are welcome here.
This fellowship's vision for a better world inspires people here to take action to help our neighbors in need. This morning, Maureen North from the Community Outreach Committee has a word about the sharing table.
And you're going to have to come all the way around here, Maureen.
Sorry about that. Good morning. I just want to let you know our next sharing table date will be Saturday, March 9th. Okay, we have been asked to bring food for 370 people, which will need a lot of volunteers. So please think about this. If you can do it, we would really appreciate your help. Some people last time, if they weren't going to be around, they made it early and froze it, which is another possibility. We're going to make the goulash recipe we made last time. Most of our cooks said it was quick and easy to do, so we're going to do that. This time I've created a sign-up genius, which will come out in the News Bites this week. So all you have to do is click on there, put down your name that you're going to cook, and tell me how many pounds you'll make. We're asking people to make 3 pounds of meat. A lot of times people are very generous and give us more than 3 pounds, which is great. So just tell me how many you can make, and that would be great so I can keep a running tab. If you would like, we can reimburse you for the cost of the meal. So if you would like, just keep your receipts and let us know. Also, we got a $50 donation from Costco. So yesterday, Paul and I picked up 12 pounds of meat, and I've divided them into sections of 3 pounds each. So if you would like to have 3 pounds of meat to take home and make into goulash, please see me after church. Okay? Thank you.
I have a question, Maureen.
Sure.
Where would you like us to deliver the food?
We have been doing it to our house, but with that amount of food, we're going to have to check. We try to make easy drop-off places.
So check News Bites.
Yeah, News Bites, we'll let you know, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Thanks for all the work not only you and the committee do, but everyone here to make our neighbors who are in need have a somewhat better life.
One of the things that's unique about Unitarian Universalism is that every 15 years, we take a look at our principles and purposes, and sometimes make changes. After the service today, join us in a town hall conversation about proposed revisions to the UUA bylaws that would change how American UUs state these central commitments.
Also today at 3 p.m., the family invites us to honor his memory at the United Methodist Church of Fallston. Beryl was an enthusiastic and active member of this congregation for 30 years. Our own Brenna Kupferman will play and sing a song that Beryl requested, Let It Be a Dance. Many of this congregation's adults were teens whom Beryl mentored. This fellowship has always had a strong commitment to our young people, encouraging them to think about their values and the values that they will choose to cherish. Next Sunday, our youth lead the worship service and share their ideas about justice in relationships. There's a potluck afterwards to celebrate these thoughtful and passionate young people.
Another aspect of Unitarian Universalism is lifelong learning, thinking, and exploring religious ideas from many faith traditions. Beginning February 14th and every other Wednesday via Zoom, the UU Christian Fellowship takes up the topic of the Hebrew Scriptures and how the first 5 books came to be written. Steve Thompson will lead this fascinating historical journey. Look for more information in the weekly congregational news bites.
And then there's community. Join with other members and friends of this congregation for the joyful stewardship event on Saturday, February 24th. There's a poster in the lobby with a QR code so that you can sign up online. Please do it as soon as you can. And did I say stewardship? Yes. The stewardship campaign to support our programs for the next congregational year begins today. Round of applause. Hazel Hopkins has a word for us.
When we lived in Bath, New York, When we lived in Bath, New York, the closest I got to a church was the Peace and Justice group I belonged to, which had been started as a protest to the Gulf War. But my interest in social justice issues stemmed from a lifetime of experiences. I wanted to share a few of them with you this morning. I lived on a huge potato farm in Western New York as a kid, where African Americans would come every fall for 2 months and pick potatoes. I saw appalling living conditions. I learned about South America from an exchange student, Vincente, who lived with us 1 year when I was in high school. Also in high school, I was elected a National Future Homemakers of America, FHA, officer the year that FHA was integrated. I didn't even know what they were talking about. For several years, I headed up the fundraising campaign for our Salvation Army in my community. And as president of the local teachers union, I worked for equity for children as well as the teachers. After that, I was appointed to the Civil and Human Rights Committee for the New York State United Teachers, NYSUT, and then worked on political campaigns until I was elected as a delegate to the 1996 Democratic National Convention, Go Clinton. So when we moved here, my hope was to find some organization where I could work for peace and justice. Quite early on, something I had done when we lived in Bath, I started taking yoga classes at the UU Falston Church. And one Sunday, I decided to go. There were about 12 people there, which was just the size of my peace and justice group. And I thought, here it is. I put a stone in the chalice and I announced I had found my peace and justice group. And afterwards at coffee, you know, that's a sacrament at UU churches, they said to me, you know, there's another UU church. You might want to try it out. So the next Sunday in November of 2005, Larry and I came here, and we've been here ever since. And you see, in part, I need a peace and justice group which carries light out into the community and the world. And if UUFHC wasn't so active in social justice issues, my feelings about being here would not be as strong. So when you all attend the stewardship dinner on February the 24th, you will get a big picture of our social justice activities here at UUFHC. Each table will have a centerpiece celebrating part of what we do. I think you're going to be overwhelmed when you see the whole picture. Now, I said, in part, the reason I'm here is because of our social justice issues. There's one other thing that's worth about 100 more parts. I hope you can see yourself. I checked to see we are now 134 people strong, and we have a lot of friends in our group too. But I want to thank you for the light that you give me and for enriching my life.
Thank you, Hazel. You need your mic.
Everyone who's on site this morning, please stay after the conversation. Please take a moment to sign cards for our members who are homebound or in the hospital. If you're a newcomer, you're especially encouraged to stay. For everyone participating online, the Zoom will continue so you can socialize with the others who are online, although you'll have to make your own coffee.
During the month of February, our worship and learning theme is justice and equity. Someone once told me, I get it. You Unitarians try to, well, yes, we do try to be good people. And today, we consider how the light we carry can make a difference in our own lives and in the life of the world. Now may the sound of the bell and the message and music of the song, Good People, guide us into open-heartedness and reverence as we begin our worship service together.
The world today can be a scary place. Hard to keep your faith in the human race. We're running out of trees and we're running out of space, but we'll never run out of good people. Asking for a shovel and they'll dig you a hole. Put the coffee on, call you in from the cold. If you get lost, they'll show you where to go. Even give you a ride, good people. Good people are hard to find. Right around the corner at the end of the line, it's true. Good people have peace of mind. I'd like to spend some time with you. A man ain't nothing if he ain't got a friend. Drowning out in a penny to spend. The bells above will ring in the end for good people. Good people are hard to find. Right around the corner at the end of the line, it's true. Good people got peace of mind. I'd like to spend some time with you. Rich and poor were born to be free. Fly around the world and sail to 17. There's no place that I would rather be than here right now, good people. Good people are hard to find. Right around the corner at the end of the line, it's true. Good people got peace of mind. I'd like to spend some time with you. The world today can be a scary place. Don't put your faith in the human race. We're running out of trees and we're running out of space, but we'll never run out of good people.
Each Sunday, we light the chalice of our religious heritage. We do this for our ancestors who taught us through their various religious traditions and by their actions for justice and hope. We do this for our children who are learning the traditions we teach and who learn more from our actions than our words. And we do this for ourselves so that we are inspired to remember our beginnings, reflect on who we are now, and spread our wings as we understand who we seek to become.
Our call to worship this morning is by the astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. We are stardust. The atoms of our bodies are traceable to stars that manufactured them in their cores and exploded these enriched ingredients across our galaxy billions of years ago. For this reason, we are biologically connected to every other living being in the world. We're chemically connected to all the molecules on Earth, and we are atomically Jen Blosser, who is going to tell us a story for all ages. Jen? Okay. Then I will tell the story. Because the children are more important than who tells the story here. Okay. So, have you ever had an experience that shines with unexpected beauty? I have. And so has the poet Ross Gay, whose astonishing poem, To the Fig Tree on 9th and Christian, recounts a special experience, the joy of complete strangers as they unexpectedly share figs from a fig tree growing on a Philadelphia street corner. As we think today about the light we carry, consider how community and the ability of human beings to nurture one another is one version of the light we carry into the world. True community brings with it a sense that there are good things and good people in this world. Our story today includes a few sections from a longer poem Ross Gay's To the Fig Tree on 9th and Christian. tumbling through the city in my mind without once looking up, the lugwork, probably rehearsing some stupid thing I said or did, some crime or some other city or some crime or other. The city, they say, is a lonely place until, yes, the sound of sweeping and a woman, yes, with a broom beneath which you are now too, the canopy of a fig tree, its arms pulling the September sun to it, and she has a hose too, and works so hard, rinsing and scrubbing the walk, that some poor sod slip on the silk of a fig and break his hip, and not probably reach over to gobble up the perpetrator. As the light catches the veins in her hands, when I ask about the tree, they flutter in the air, and she says, "Take as much as you like. You can help me." The woman, asking for help, points Ross to a ladder, and then when he has filled his own pockets with figs, he finds himself on the ladder, handing figs down to a small gathering of passers-by, people whom the woman has also implored to take figs from the wildly productive tree. This wonderful poem goes on to describe each of the small group of strangers and their reactions to the figs and the impromptu gathering of community. The story ends with the poet's thought about what has happened. I have twice in the last 30 seconds rubbed my sweating forearm into someone else's sweaty shoulder, gleefully eating out of each other's hands on Christian Street in Philadelphia, a city like most, which has murdered its own people. This is true. We are feeding each other from a tree at the corner of Christian and Ninth. Strangers maybe never again. Ross Gay, To the Fig Tree.
Each Sunday, we receive an offering to support the mission of this congregation. Here we care for fhc.net or on the Fellowship app. Whatever method you choose, your generosity helps to grow a healthier, more joyful UU community, and in keeping with our religious heritage, to draw the circle of love and justice a bit wider.
I just want you to know that the fact that my microphone was not on a minute ago is not the fault of our wonderful tech volunteers. I forgot to turn it on. It was totally within my control. Control's a good thing, but sometimes it's not. In this worship service that invites us to lean even more deeply into our mission as Unitarian Universalists, now we renew our commitment as a community to respond out of deep care for one another. Now is a time to share briefly a joy, a sorrow, a gratitude, something you carry deeply within your heart this morning. If you're on site in the sanctuary, please come to the front and speak into the mic while Beth lights a candle. If you are on Zoom, put in the chat the message you'd like to share. And Aaron is going to read it out as Beth lights the candle. A few gentle reminders. This is not a time for announcements or politics. Please say your first name. Please share from your heart and from your own experience, and be mindful not to share anyone else's experience unless you have their express permission to do so. Would anyone like to share?
You are made of stardust.
We are made of stardust,
Born of the infinite creativity of the universe.
born of the infinite creativity of the universe.
You are whole.
We are whole,
Holy.
holy,
Good.
good,
And loved.
and loved.
We rejoice
We rejoice
and give thanks
and give thanks
that you are shining
that you are shining
your light
your light
in this world.
in this world.
This is a poem by Mary Oliver. It's called The Buddha's Last Instruction, and I want to give you one instruction before I begin reading it. There are actually two voices happening in this poem, so listen carefully and see if you can discern the two different voices. This is one person reading. Make of yourself a light, said the Buddha before he died. I think of this every morning as the east begins to tear off its many clouds of darkness, to send up that first signal, a white fan of streaked with pink and violet and even green. An old man, he lay down between two sala trees, and he might have said anything, knowing it was his final hour. The light burns upward, it thickens and settles over the fields. Around him, the villagers gather and stretched forward to listen. Even before the sun itself hangs disattached in the blue air, I am touched everywhere by its oceans of yellow waves. No doubt he thought of everything that had happened in his difficult life. And then I feel the sun itself as it blazes over the hills like a million flowers on fire. Clearly I'm not needed, yet I feel myself turning into something of inexplicable value. Slowly beneath the branches, he raised his head. He looked into the faces of that frightened crowd. Make of yourself a light.
My first fig came from the hand of my grandfather, whose hands had magic when it came to anything growing. I was perhaps 4 years old. I remember the house and the tree on one side, the branches reaching out, and the leaves with sun above and shade beneath. He plucked the fig gently. I remember that slight but definite twist of his wrist as he pulled the fig from its mooring. He gave it to me to hold as we examined it together. And then, with his ever-present pocket knife, he cut a slice for each of us. The taste was sweet, but not candy sweet, more like sunshine and gentle rain condensed into something precious. Years later, and far away, all grown up and my grandfather long gone, I moved into a new place during an icy January. Nothing was in bloom. As the seasons turned, I began to see what growing things there were in my yard. There was a tree that made a pleasant shady place on the side of the house. One warm, sunny day, I wandered there. Branches reaching out, leaves fluttering, and figs. Amazing. I reached up in wonderment, closed my hand around a fig, and without a thought turned my wrist slightly as I pulled. The moment with my grandfather came flooding back to me, filling my mind and heart with love. There is a connection between generations that is a kind of community, one that links me today with the people who have gone before and the people who will come after I am gone. That fig tree and the fig in my hand was that kind of a link. And my grandfather and I are individuals in the long chain of humans who planted trees for shade and food and the gifts of the Spirit. Whenever people gather in common purpose, even if only momentarily, like the people on the corner of 9th and Christian in Philadelphia, underneath that fig tree, there is community. Fleeting though it may be, in that fig tree moment the poet Ross Gay describes, there is a unity that forges links in multiple directions. The poet remembers the refugee who gave him his first fig. That's the generational link, like the one I had with my grandfather. And the fig tree of the poem links people on a Philadelphia street in a joyous moment of fruit picking and feeding each other. In this moment, here in this sanctuary, this physical place and online, we are in community together. The values we share, respect for the inherent worth and dignity of every person, respect for the web of life, each one of us hoping to make the world a more just and humane place. These values link us to one another and to the generations before and after. Those generations, the founders of this fellowship, the ones who built this building, the people who have maintained it lovingly for years, and within it learned and grew and helped the children of this community to learn and grow. Those who are newly here with their hopes and values and commitments. Those who will arrive in the future because this community sustains this fellowship now. Community can emerge in any time and place. We are all part of more than one community. But here, in this Unitarian Universalist faith, we gather with the intent to create loving religious community, the intent to serve a purpose greater than any one of us. What we give to each other and to the future is even more than a fig tree. This kind of community is a sanctuary we create in common with others. This kind of community asks us to put our values to work collectively as well as in our individual lives. So how do we sustain this community? Let's go back in time to 18th and 19th century America, when the first Unitarian houses of worship were built by funds given by proprietors of the church. They were literally proprietors. Theology aside, the most complete form of membership required money, the money to become the owner of a pew, because only the pew owners were allowed to vote. Most churches set aside a small percentage of pews, usually in the back or the balcony, as free pews for those who were not pew owners. This idea of pew ownership wasn't metaphorical. After construction costs had been covered, pew ownership was the primary financial support for the congregation's annual operating budget. The pew was actually treated like real estate under state law, and the church collected an annual tax on the pew owners. In the 18th and 19th century, this tax was called pew rent. Sometimes it got a little high, so often a pew owner would sublet the pew to others, or would invite others to share the pew and then literally collect rent from them to pay the annual pew tax to the congregation. It should be immediately obvious to all of us who are citizens of an entirely different style of congregational financial support that pew ownership created barriers to newcomers. It separated members into groups based on highly visible distinctions of wealth. And it no doubt led to a certain interpersonal strain and discomfort, along with a little bit of territoriality. Here's a true story from the New York Times in 1895, reporting on an incident in a Washington, D.C. congregation when a pew owner more or less ejected a visitor. And I'm quoting now from the Times. In a large church in the city, which was not a Unitarian congregation, by the way, but this happened everywhere, I'm sure. In a large church in the city, which is always overcrowded with worshipers, there are some pew holders who more frequently invite strangers out of their pews than into them. Last Sunday morning, a week ago, the wife of a civil service commissioner attended this church, and the usher seated her in a vacant pew well toward the front. Just before the organist played an opening hymn, there was a rustle of silks and a jingling of jet beads, and a lady appeared beside the pew. She glared at the occupant and stood still for a moment, then rustled and jingled herself out again. In another moment, the usher showed up and politely asked the lady to allow him to show her to another seat, and gave her one opposite. Then the silk and jetted lady returned and devoutly took her seat. And there's another pew story about the famous author Mark Twain, who entered a church in New York City and, unconscious of this territoriality of pew owners, wandered down the aisle and took a seat in an empty pew. When the official occupant, the owner of the pew, arrived with family in tow, they all crowded in along with Twain. Soon, Twain received a note from the head of the household. It said, "Do you know how much I paid for this pew?" The man had written that question and then the answer in bold numbers. Twain's response, "Too damned much." In the late 19th century, as people rightly began to question the barrier-inducing system of pew ownership, it grew out of favor. If we are all literally made of stardust, how strange to support what's supposed to be transformative and life-changing religious community by means that emphasize inequalities of wealth within it. So Unitarian congregations abandoned the pew ownership method of raising funds and switched instead to seeking from each member and friends who were willing an annual voluntary financial commitment, along with the weekly passing of the offering basket. Now back to the present, and here is something strange. I saw an announcement from a Zen meditation center in California that said it was working with a new economic model. They don't charge fees. They ask that if people feel they've gotten something valuable, they make donations out of support, out of the spirit of generosity. This is a new economic model? Isn't relying on donations what religious congregations have been doing for quite a while? Not exactly. Voluntary, yes. But the Zen Center's approach is merely conventional wisdom that people are willing to pay for what they get. But that's not actually what we do here. This is not a fee-for-service operation. We will not install credit card readers at the entrance so that every time you leave, you can decide whether what you got out of the visit makes it worth swiping your card. This religious community is something different. It's a project. We are building the beloved community in here and out in the world. So during this month's stewardship campaign, don't give as if you are paying for what you get. Don't give because it's embarrassing not to. Don't give because it's an obligation. Don't give to keep the lights on, or because your kids are in Sunday school, or because you're grateful that they used to be in Sunday school, or because you like the spiritual retreats, the music, or even because Harford County needs a bold and religious voice and a beacon for social justice. I should mention that the members of the Stewardship Committee would be willing to accept a financial commitment made for any of these reasons. I'm sure that no one's pledge will be rejected. But I don't want pledges made for any of these wimpy reasons. Why? Why am I being so particular? Because we cannot transform our own lives and the life of the world unless we are fully committed. You see, we are here engaged in an act of creation. We're preparing for transformation. There is a light in us that can become the light of us. This place gives people the support of a community that regards personal growth as lifelong, and that if we are to transform ourselves into what we hope to become, we will need companions along the way. When we take our values seriously, we begin challenging the injustice and inequity in our society. We shine a light on it. We shine the light of us on it, and we make a difference. We take the first steps necessary to change the world. Is that too great a claim? You know, I don't think so. Creating transformative community requires, in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a qualitative change in our souls as well as a quantitative change in our lives. Now, financial generosity is an aspect of spiritual growth, and it's a practical necessity if we're to build a transformative community within these walls and a transformed community outside them. But there's even more going on here than that. Making a financial commitment to this Unitarian Universalist fellowship is an opportunity to be part of the most exciting project humanity has underway today. We're modeling for the larger world how people with widely different points of view on theology, in fact, widely different points of view on many things, can work together to build the beloved community. People with different perspectives working together to build a better world. It's happening here I can see it unfolding before my eyes. Maybe it's time for all of you to claim it boldly. Nearly 500 years ago, a feudal landowner in Poland gave his manor and his property to create a new Unitarian community where the former serfs got to vote and go to school. It was transformative. I sometimes think, if a feudal lord can give up property and power for a transformative vision, then for the beloved community I hope to build, I can at least give up designer coffee. What would it take to align our lives with our values? What might we give up so that we can give generously to the project of building the beloved community? If anyone here is thinking of signing the membership book or making a pledge for the next year, don't do it for wimpy reasons. Do it because you long to be part of this project. Do it because you're committed to transformation. Do it because you want to grow the light you carry and let it spill out into the world. That's the commitment I'm asking for. The poet Amanda Gorman, in her poem, What We Carry, urges us to consider what we've learned from pain and loss, and also from love and beauty, all that we have learned to value. Everything in our lives, both what has been hard and what has been good, can lead each of us to an ongoing reassessment of what's most important. With that new clarity comes commitment. Commitment to carry the light of our own personal transformation out into the world. Gorman says, we have learned our true names, not what we are called, but what we are called to carry forth from here. Our project of building a transformative community demands transformation of our souls and lives as a precondition for changing the world. We learn our true names, not what we're called, but the light we're called to carry forth. The Buddha said, make of yourselves a light. Transformation is how we make of ourselves a light. It's how we brighten the light we carry. It's how we spill our light out into the world. Transformation is what we do here in this community, which in this moment is up to us to sustain. Gorman says our hands are open but not empty, that we go forth carrying nothing but the world. We have this community. We are this community, sharing an abundance of figs with all comers who will never again be strangers, and empowered to give sustenance to the world. This is the light we carry. And now let's sing together, Rise as is comfortable for you, as we sing Lean on Me by Bill Withers. And follow the words on the screen because the band is doing an arrangement that's a little different from the ones in the teal hymnal.
You need to borrow.
Please be seated. Our benediction is from Spilling the Light, an excerpt by UU minister, the Reverend Julian Humayca Niñon Soto, from their book, Spilling the Light. To what have we promised ourselves? To this moment in time and space, to this community, and even tenderly interconnected, this planet. We promise ourselves to the idea that we are each and all human beings. We promise that there is something moving between us that we cannot tame and cannot measure. The chalice is a reminder that what flame we keep inside us cannot light the way. The light must spill to shine. Now we extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These, like light, we carry in our hearts and out into all the world. May it be so.
Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting if we try, Lord,
start very soon.
That way I'll have it ready for the meeting. Because I'm like, oh, you